Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Siobhan for anyone who's new, but you can call me Shiv, whichever is handiest for you. And in today's video, I am going to be comparing and swatching loads of the blackest and darkest black eyeshadows I could get my hands on to see which is the most pigmented, which is the deepest in pigment. That's the exact same thing. Which is just the darkest, the deepest, the blackest black, and also which is the worst black of what I have. So what I'm going to do to start off is roll up my sleeve. I'm going to do a long line of concealer, and then we'll just blend that in a bit or tap it in so it's not on too thick. And as I swatch the black eyeshadows, I'm going to start up on the skin where there's no concealer and bring it down onto the concealer, so we'll see how it is with a base and how they are without a base. And I will use a brush to swatch all the eyeshadows because that is how I would apply them to my eye or my eyes, and it'll just be the most accurate, I think. So if you're wondering what concealer I'm using, it is the True Match Crayon by L'Oreal. Now don't worry, I'll be showing up close photos of the swatches and that as we go along as well. So I'm going to start off with the, let's see, some of the like less expensive ones, and we'll build up as we go along. So I have one of the Coastal Scents black eyeshadows here. These are called paint pots, and you buy these, not paint pots, they're called hot pots, and you buy these singularly, or I think some of them come pre-made. It's about €1.95. $1.95 on the website because it is American. Okay, I'm going to use this brush by Royal & Langnickel because it's nice and small and it won't take up too much space. So I'm just going to pick up some of Incognito is the name of this guy. Give it a few goes on the brush and pull it down. And there we go. It's not the blackest black by any means. There is some transparency to it. I can definitely see the skin behind, so let's move on to the next one. Next I'm going to move on to a Catrice eyeshadow. This is Captain of the Black Pearl. I really like this eyeshadow, I actually do use it quite a lot. I'm going to give the brush a bit of a wipe to take away the black eyeshadow from the hot pot. I think this costs like about €2 or €3 here in Ireland, and we'll pull that down. And that to me is definitely a little bit blacker, particularly on the concealer. So that one is very, very good. Like, it's actually very black with the concealer base. Next I'm going to go into a Wet n Wild eyeshadow, which again is very inexpensive, a couple of euro at most I think, and this is called Panther. So this, like the Captain of the Black Pearl, looks to have a tiny bit of a shimmer in it, whereas it doesn't really translate onto the skin once you put it on, so it's not really something I'd be worried about. And this seems to have a good bit of fallout, but we'll pop this on. And it's not as dark as the Catrice one, but it is darker than the Incognito. So that was the Wet n Wild one. Next I'm going to move on to one of the Max Factor Wild Shadow Pots. This again has a bit of shimmer in it, but we'll still give it a go. It's in the colour Ferocious Black. It's the only black one of those shadow pots. So pick that up. I'm feeling this is going to be a lot more glittery on anyhow. The colour payoff is not great. It's very bitty. Yeah, it's much more glittery, so this wouldn't be the best one to compare, but if you're looking for a glittery one, it kind of comes almost out more like a really dark gunmetal grey because of the glitter bits. So I wouldn't say it's as black as the other three, but it still has more colour payoff than the hot pot. And I think there might actually be a couple of other black hot pots from Coastal Scents, but that's the only one I have. Next I'm going to move on to my two black MAC eyeshadows. So the first one is Black Tide. So this is the black eyeshadow that has the silver glitter in it again. So that one comes out pretty intense over the concealer, but not as intense obviously up here. The best one so far is the Catrice one, and it's not as bitty as the Max Factor one. This one is actually, it looks more like a matte black just with a little bit of sparkle in it. But I do find when I'm using this on the eye, I find that it tends to lose the sparkle if you blend it a good bit. And I'm just taking my photos here for the swatches. Then next, of course, I'm going to move on to Carbon by MAC, which is their matte black. And this is not the darkest black I've ever come across in the world, but it'll be interesting to see how it holds up against the other ones. So there we go. It's actually not that bad. I'm still going to say the Catrice one is blacker though. So it's not the worst, but it's darker than Incognito and a little bit darker than Panther, but it's not as black as the Catrice one. So the Catrice one is definitely winning so far. Next I'm going to move on to my MUD black, which is, I won't even bother taking it out of the palette. It's called Onyx, which is that, again, just another plain matte black. And this one I think is going to be quite black because I've always been impressed with this one so far. We'll pop it there beside Carbon. And yeah, it's super black. And that's only with one swipe. I haven't even had to go over that. So that is, I think, the winner so far. It is just trumping. I'm not even going to go over it because it's come out so black in the first go. It's even trumping the Catrice. So that is a great one. And these cost, I think it's €10, or no, it might could be €8 to get the refills. And I get this from Flair Hair and Beauty up in Seamus Quirk Road in Galway. But I'm really impressed by the MUD shadows, the makeup designer shadows anyhow, so that's no surprise. Quickly, I'm going to move on to Black Dog, which is in the Black palette by Urban Decay. I just figured I'd have to include this since, you know, it is the black palette. Whoa, that's by far the blackest one yet. So again, I only needed one swipe and that is amazingly black. If that's a thing, it's just so dark. And it's going to be good for me even knowing this going forward, because I've never done this. I've never actually compared them all before. Next I'm going to move on to a Kiko eyeshadow. This is from one of their eyeshadow palettes, the Luxurious Gold and Plum Colour Fever eyeshadow palette. And this has come out quite strong. So it's like a slightly bluer black. It's not as dark in like pitch black as the what am I going to call it, as the Urban Decay one, but it is still really intense, which is good to know. We have 2 eyeshadows left to go, and again, I'm not going to take this out of the palette. This is, oh no, I have 3 eyeshadows left to go, actually, now that I think about it. So this is number 63, AMC 63 from Inglot, and I've always really liked this eyeshadow. I think it's quite a nice black eyeshadow, and it's really matte as well. So there's that one. Again, a really lovely black intense eyeshadow. It's still not coming out quite as black as the Urban Decay one. That is the blackest one so far. So that is really good. It is blacker than my original Catrice one. The next from my massive 40 pan palette by Inglot. This is the, I think it's 391 is the name of this. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself, but it's just their other matte black eyeshadow. I think it's a newer one to the AMC 63, but let's see how this goes, because I was interested to see how this fared up against the other one. It's not as black. It seems to be a bit more of a like super dark like grey. I think it fares better on the skin though, like without the actual base underneath. But for me, the 63 seems ever so slightly darker. I don't know if I'm making that up, and we'll know better from the swatches, but they're very close. There's actually very little difference in those two, except for this one came out a bit darker over the bare skin. Then for my final eyeshadow, I'm going to be swatching this guy by Zoeva, and it's Onyx. It's out of their Mixed Metals eyeshadow palette, but I potted all of those into that into this guy here. I did a video on it, so if you're interested, I'll link to that below. And this is going to be the very last eyeshadow. And that one is quite dark as well. It's quite a nice one. So those are them all swatched. The clear winner for me is the Urban Decay one from the black palette, which probably shouldn't be a big surprise since it is the black palette, but it is the blackest black, easily the deepest, darkest, blackest black. It's the one that came out most intense on the skin without a base. The worst one is the first one, which was, what was that guy again? It was the, I I can't even remember what the first one was. But I'll leave the name here. You'll probably know. You're going to be like, ah, Shiv, what are you doing? So obviously the first one was this guy here. Was that the Coastal Scents one? No. Anyhow, you'll know. So that was the worst one. The blackest one is definitely that. I really do like the 63 by Inglot as well. I think that one's lovely in black, and we'll see in the swatches as well how they all fare up. So I really hope this was helpful, guys, and it was something I was dying to do for myself as well, to see which were the blackest blacks of what I owned, because it's nice to know what is more comfortable, what I'd be more comfortable using on clients as well. So yeah, that's it for now. I will leave it at that. If you missed Monday's video, that was a quick tip for cleansing your brushes without having to spend too much money. And on Friday, I'm going to be doing a video on growing these bad boys back. And I have black on my forehead, and I'll be sharing a few tips for how to grow them back without over plucking, and if you can't, leave down the tweezers, and also how to fill them in when there are loads of stray hairs everywhere. So in the meantime, take care. I'll see you all in my next video, and make sure you subscribe if you're new to my channel, and if you want, you can always give the video a like as well. Cheers guys, Salon.